see a message about the video you wanted, but I'm assuming it's the Clone Wars.
Yeah,
battle.
from Hello There.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was in the. At least I thought I did. It was in the Badonkagonk chat on Teams. But maybe I just didn't send it on it. Maybe I meant to, Jake, and I got distracted.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
My bad.
I knew what you're talking
But yeah,
about. It's not hard to find.
No. It's got a couple million views on it now.
Yeah.
You think that sounded like a TIE fighter going by?
No.
Let's do it again.
It sounds like a guy in a car that's driving by while screaming.
I think that's what the original TIE fighter noise was.
Oh, okay. I didn't
Ben
know.
Burt, I think, was just like, he's famous for just like, he just goes out and just finds sounds. He always has a microphone with him, just in case. He's like, oh, this squeaky door is really nice, you know? I think that he just heard, go asshole,
That's a fun sound.
That's a good sound. That's a twin ion engine sound.
All right. Well, interesting. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Badonkagonk, our Star Wars podcast here on Wave Squadron.
Today's the day where we love Star Wars so much we talk about it for hours?
Yes, only today.
Only today this month.
And then the next time.
Yeah.
Which I forgot to look up when our next time was.
Aaron, while you do that, I'm going to address the audience because this is probably going to save a lot of comments.
Yeah.
Will we be doing the Bad Batch trailer? No, we will not. Here's the thing. A couple things. We watched the Bad Batch trailer months and months and months ago. And we've been rubbing that in your faces and be like, hey, we saw it and you guys didn't. Well, guess what? You can do that to us now. But two, we just don't want spoilers for the show.
I didn't know until I guess the trailer was the announcement, but it comes out February 21st
Oh,
or
yeah,
something. And I was like, oh gosh, it's so
real
close.
soon.
So we only have to wait 4 weeks.
It's real soon. Now, we do have moderators in the chat, and we're trying not to look at the chat too much. This was me last stream, last night, in my Jedi Survivor playthrough. But yeah.
So whatever reaction's in there that people are like, I want them to see this, we're going to see it. It's just going to be later.
We're going to see it as the storytellers intend, not the marketing material.
Yeah.
And, I mean, look, this is the thing about being a reaction channel. Is like you want to put a reaction because people are really excited by it, but you also want to save it for the integrity of the show, and people will be excited by that. So we have some people around us that know our tastes, know the type of things that we like to see in a show versus in a commercial, and we choose to wait for the show. And that's that. So if you see people coming and ask about it, you can let them know that's the case. If you see someone come in and spoil, then you got to hold the line. Yeah, Veroni. Veroni knows what we're doing. Veroni. Hold the line. If you see a spoiler, we'll get that out of the chat so we don't see it.
Yeah. And speaking of which, I think doing the February 22nd for the next Badonkagonk happens to also coincide with when Bad Batch comes out.
So we're going to be doing it on the day Bad Batch comes out?
Yeah. The alternative is doing it on the 29th of February, which only happens every 4 years. That sounds really cool, too.
That does sound kind of cool. Leap year Badonkagonk. Okay.
But yeah, so we'll probably end up doing it on the 22nd.
Yeah, we'll do it on the 22nd.
So that will be when Bad Batch announces and releases.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see whatever it is that happens then.
Maybe.
So
Maybe.
because some of those trailers only show the first couple episodes, and I don't know how many are dropping at the beginning.
Yep. The only thing I can say is I know for a fact that the trailer we saw months and months and months ago is not the trailer they released.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. That was a pretty cool trailer.
And it
I
certainly,
don't remember all of it, but I remember being like, this is sweet.
It certainly didn't have anything in it where I was like, oh, dude, that's going to blow up the internet, like this one apparently did. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But I'm excited for that. It's going to be the final season of the Bad Batch.
Final season.
Yep. They were able to get the whole cast back. It's great.
It's one guy.
And he's great.
Well, and Omega.
Dick. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll have that then on the 22nd.
Yes, sir.
So make sure you guys mark for that. And the book, we'll be having a book that we cover on the 22nd.
Sir.
Do you know what that book is?
Yes, sir. Would you
want-
like me
did
to
you
say it?
wanna-
Okay,
yeah,
the book for next Badonkagonk, February 22nd, is Catalyst by James Luceno, which is going to be a book about one Galen Urso and surrounding characters.
Okay. Surrounding characters.
Yeah.
I don't know. That'd be cool to get a little bit more about Galen.
Yeah, maybe I'll even do like a Rogue One rewatch too.
I haven't seen
while
that
I'm doing it, so we can
for a
really get
little
into
bit.
that. But kind of get back into that Rogue One Andor feel of Star Wars. Of that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
That era of characters and tone.
That'd be
So I'm
really
excited
cool.
for that.
Okay.
So that'll be Catalyst.
Catalyst.
If you have read it, well, you're good. But if you haven't, now's the time. I don't think, other than watching Rogue One, you have to really read anything to be prepared for this one. I think you
Okay.
can just go into it.
Do you have to have seen Rogue One?
I think so.
Okay.
And Star Wars.
And Star Wars, like
Yeah.
A New Hope.
So pretty
Or, like,
much,
all
if
Star
you're
Wars.
watching this, you're good.
Oh,
Because
okay.
there's no way you're watching this and haven't consumed that stuff.
All right.
All right, so that'll be Catalyst.
Well, that's going to be the next podcast, but we're not done for this podcast. We have.
It would be weird if we were. 'cause
Yeah, right.
it's
Bye,
been-
guys.
I
See you
feel
later.
like we just
Go,
started.
take us out.
Yeah.
No, go on. No, just wait. No, we have our venture back into some High Republic with Test of Courage,
Yeah.
it was a nice.
I think that's appropriate. Some High Republic.
yeah, which was a nice.
This was a short one.
It was nice to have this during my my holiday time.
Oh, yeah. No,
I
you're
was-
right. Yeah.
I was really busy, so I'm glad I didn't have like a 14-hour book.
Yeah,
This
I did
was-
get it up on Audible, and I'm like, 4 hours, and then I changed it to my speed I usually listen to it. I'm like, I'll get this done easy.
Done
And I-
in 9.
and
Listened
I
to it
did.
12 times.
I had a great time.
Sure,
I started listening to parts of it again.
So we have Test of Courage we're going to be talking about. We
Test of
also
Courage.
have a video that I've been holding off on watching because we're going to be reacting to it right here on Badonkagonk, which is a Clone Wars fan video.
It is. It is a recreation of the Revenge of the Sith battle between brothers, Obi-Wan versus Anakin, done in the Clone Wars style.
Sounds cool.
By a channel called Hello There, and it's been out for about a month, and I also haven't watched it. Yeah.
I heard about it, and I saw that it was a Clone Wars fan video, and I saw like, oh, people are really liking it.
Yeah.
Like, it has really nice views, so people must say it must be pretty good. I won't watch it, and I'll wait. And I saw on like Reddit or somewhere like, hey, are you guys gonna react to this? I'm like, well, so I messaged you. I didn't realize at that time when I messaged you that it was like Revenge of the Sith.
It was.
I didn't
yeah,
know that it was
yeah.
related to that at all.
And
So that's pretty cool.
It did really well. It's got a couple million views on it. So, generally when it comes to other creators' content, we try to give a bit of a buffer before we immediately react to it because we don't want to be one of those reaction channels that just kind of steal views from people. It's like, I didn't watch the original, but here it is,
Sure.
So they gave some time, and I guess it got a few views.
No, done really well. So I will wait to congratulate the channel on making it until after I've seen it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe I don't like it.
Oh, I'm going to tear that thing apart.
Maybe it's really good.
You think, because how I am when it comes to like official Star Wars stuff, I'm always like, this is fun. But when it comes to fan stuff, I'm always like, you could do this, you could do that.
Sure.
Remember how people were upset the way I would review some of the fan films we watched?
Yep. I do. I do. So that's going to be coming up later, though, guys. We'll be watching that and talking about Test of Courage. As we say every podcast,
Yeah.
by the end, we will try to get to some questions.
Get those questions in.
So make sure you submit questions now. You can do it through Twitch.
Mm-hmm. I want some
There's
good ones.
Also, if some super chats come in or any of that kind of stuff too, we'll try to read out some of that stuff as well. But there is no guarantee we'll get to questions because sometimes we talk too much.
It would be a mistake to guarantee we'll get to every question.
We won't get to every question. We might get a question.
I want to guarantee it so bad.
So submit questions now, and
to
hopefully the
make you
good
mad.
ones we'll get through.
Okay.
Okay?
We'll try.
All right. Well, do you want to start talking about Test of Courage now?
A Test of Courage.
Test of
Oh,
Courage.
who's the author?
Um,
I'm so bad at. I'm always trying to.
starts with a J.
That is
Starts
helpful.
with a J.
It is by. No, go back.
While you're looking that up,
sir.
Imperial Czar gave a super chat. Said, "Hey guys, have you thought about playing another playthrough of Jedi Survivor together after Eric finishes his run?"
That would be so fun.
I think I did mention it at one point, being
Yeah.
like, "Hey, it'd be cool to like run
Yeah.
through this," and I was like, "We'll do it on easy mode. I won't do it on hard difficulty, but it'd be fun to spend some time like just going through and playing it together and like
Absolutely.
looking at stuff and talking about it."
Yeah, I mean, I won't focus on it too much because there are other streams right here on this channel of me going through it that you can go back and watch. You can also watch separately Aaron go through it. I did hear there was one part in my stream last night where someone's like, "Oh my god, it would be so cool to combine this with Aaron's reaction to this part." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I wonder what that is." But yeah, that's that would be a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
So good idea, Czar.
we
Thank you
also-
for the super chat.
As a maybe a minor spoiler, but we have mailbag and stuff that happens, and we got a Star Wars game in that, and I was like, you know what, I've never played the Star Wars game, and then I started talking about like other Star Wars games that I've
Yeah.
never played or completed. Maybe we could play either together or me individually playing some of these other Star Wars games.
I'm 100% there for that. Anytime, anywhere you call me, I will be there to play that game.
That game.
Now, you're talking about the first of that game and then that game, right?
Well, yeah, because
Yeah,
I played
okay.
the first one a little bit, but I never beat
Yeah.
it, and then the second one I never played at all.
Do you want to tell the good people that follow us what game you're talking about, or you want to like
How many other Star Wars games have like two of them? Is there a lot? It probably narrows it down
Force
quite a bit.
Unleashed, Jedi Knight, Dark Forces,
Knights of the Old Republic, Jedi Starfighter, had Starfighter,
yeah,
Rogue Squadron.
Rogue Squadron.
Well, it narrows it down a little bit. They can
Yeah,
guess from there.
it's one of those. All right, so A Test of Courage by Justina Ireland, and for us, narrated by Kaylor Lay, or Lee, maybe. Kaylor, that's a cool name.
Kaylor.
Keylor. That's like a Lord of the Rings name.
K-A-Y?
Son of Keenlor. Yeah.
Okay.
Daughter. Sorry, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Because she had a very pretty voice.
Yep.
All right,
true.
Aaron. A Test of Courage. This is a story. I would say about kids, but not necessarily for kids.
Maybe not. No, not for
But
kids.
I think kids could appreciate
young
it.
adults that enjoy Star Wars at the very least.
I'm a 36-year-old man, and I appreciate it. I had a good time.
I thought it was a pretty decent book. It doesn't get into like so.
It's consumable.
This is Light of the Jedi light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there was Light of the Jedi,
Yeah.
and there's a lot more characters and a lot of things happening, and you really kind of saw the like terror of a lot more of it. I think there.
Yeah.
And in this one, it's kind of a similar-ish situation where there is a ship that we're on that has been destroyed.
Yeah.
And we're kind of seeing the aftermath, and it's a group that is surviving this attack, basically.
Yeah. No, just like my stream last night, the emergencies continue to ruin things, and I continue to enjoy them.
Sure, no.
No, it was fun. I guess the nature of Phase 1, and I can only talk about the first 3 things that we've seen so far, the first 3 novels, but it does kind of have a feeling of like this event is so big and so galaxy-wide that you're having these kind of stories like it's not like you have Light of the Jedi, and then you have this one, and then you have this one. You have Light of the Jedi, and then you have this one. It crosses over a bit.
This one's adjacent.
Yeah.
Like, this one occurs before the end of Light of the Jedi
Yeah.
happened, right?
This kind of feels more like the end of Clone Wars, where you're seeing what's going on with Ahsoka, but you already know what's going on with Anakin. You can kind of like mix and match. 'Cause these things kind of fit in a little bit.
Yeah, because this one, like the ship they're on, is heading to the Starlight Beacon, which we know of from Light of the Jedi and the occurrences that happened there.
Yeah.
But we have like our own little group, which I couldn't help but relate it to like a D&D or Star Wars like tabletop like grouping here, where we have like here's a Jedi Knight, here's a Jedi Padawan, here's someone who's a little bit more techie.
Yeah.
This person has been wanting to learn to be like a combat medic. So it's like they may not be great at some of these aspects, but they
all have something.
They
to
all
bring to the
have a
table.
little bit of something else. And stuff.
No, I mean
So-
honestly, the more and more Dungeons and Dragons like content that I check out, because I never played it growing up.
Sure.
I never really was exposed to it except for the stuff that we've been exposed to on Blind Wave, and for me, it really feels bare bones. These are the bare bones of storytelling.
Yeah.
And having a crew like that, I mean, it sets up for some really interesting drama, even drama for younger audiences.
Yeah. So we had, I'd say 4 main characters. If you want to count the droid was J6, that's 5, I suppose.
Why would you not count J6?
Well, it's
Do you not count C-3PO? Do you not count HK-47? Do you not count Proxy? Do you not count
Proxy.
Chopper?
Proxy was barely involved in. They kept trying to kill you the whole time.
I'm leaving.
No, get back here. But no, like there is some interesting stuff I do want to talk about with J6 at one point.
Okay,
but we had Vernestro, I believe is the full name.
Venestra, yeah. Rao.
Yeah, the Jedi Knight.
A 16-year-old Jedi Knight.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Which did they say it was like the youngest or one of the youngest?
One of the youngest.
Like Jedi Knights.
I don't think they said youngest. They did say though that her master was Stellan Gios.
Yeah, I recognize that name, but I couldn't place it.
Like there was Avar Chris, and then there's Elzar Mann, and they're like the two like, oh yeah, those two are really together. But then every once in a while there's a Ron, Riesling, that comes in, and that's Stellan.
That's Stellan.
So her
Okay.
master we are familiar with.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
And I mean Venestra, like I mean she's one of my favorite characters of this one. But
Sure.
she definitely has a role to fill in that, like, I wonder if Skeleton Crew will feel this way. Like, this is a story about children, in a way, right? Like, kind of losing innocence and finding their way into some form of adulthood, where their adulthood's going to be. But you kind of feel like Venestra's already kind of there because she is so accomplished at such a young age that she almost takes on, like, a mentor role, and then literally takes on the mentor role, I guess,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
So I really like her.
No, I did too. The
Knighted at 15.
15.
That's right, yeah.
The story's progression and stuff, because like as I mentioned, like kind of like Light of the Jedi, there is it's not an accident. There is a sabotage on a ship, destroying this ship. But one of the things that I really enjoyed was when part of the ship gets opened up and the what's it called, bulkhead wasn't closing up. I loved her like the one master's there is like, get that closed.
Yeah.
And she jumps towards this gaping hole of space.
Being sucked out.
And I just thought it was a really cool scene of like, let me take care of this chair and break it up so that we can get this closed up and get these people out of here kind of thing. It was just a really cool scene.
Yeah, the beginning of the book had that feeling of like, oh, these people seem pretty cool, and they're gone.
Yeah,
sure. Like Jedi Master Doug, like Douglas.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this guy seems like he's gonna be pretty.
Yeah.
And then and that's why it's good drama. You're immediately where those kids are. It's like, oh, I had so much more time that I've now lost with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. That's the master of Imri.
Yep. Imri. I have the names. Cantaros.
Cantaros.
Yes, Imri.
So I enjoyed what we saw of their, which wasn't much, of their master Padawan relationship. Yep. But I enjoyed Douglas, and like when things started going down, like he is making sure like he's holding everyone at the table. I love that he made the sacrifice play of let me get these kids out of here, and he's like force pushed back to get them away while the door's shut and stuff. But no, you're right. Like there's an element there where like, oh man, this guy's pretty cool. Oh, what?
I know.
So they're just alone now?
Yeah. I know. Like I learned more about Master Douglas from Imri's grief than I did about just being with the character.
Yeah, sure. No, I agree. And in
so Imri being another Jedi, Padawan, younger, I think around 12, 13 maybe?
I don't remember the age of Imri.
No, Imri's a little older. The other two that we're going to be getting to, they're 12 years old. They're younger kids. But Imri, I at least remember that he's taller than Venestra, but he's still younger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was going to say one of the other ones, Honesty.
Honesty,
which is not a Jedi. It's just a boy, a kid of.
He's from the Dao Nan sector.
Yeah.
And his father was the ambassador of Dao Nan. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, being a kid of a diplomat, he's kind of put on this ship to like adventure and see the galaxy before kind of committing himself to being. Yeah. His mom was worried about him being a combat medic for a war that was never gonna come, kind of thing. So he had kind of an interesting background.
It's kind of similar to a Jedi. Like he's at the point of his life where he's going through something called a metamorphosis trial. Which is like you kind of like pick the direction you go in, and you go off to have kind of like a vision quest for it, or like your college before you go to college, maybe you go and see the world a little bit. Yeah, that type of thing, right? What the Amish do, they send their kids out like, go experience the world, the English, and then come back, and never not deny it all.
But I know it's real.
Yeah, but I know only a few Amish communities do that.
Sure.
So Honesty, Imri, and then we had the last one, which is Avon Staros.
Yeah, which honestly may have been my favorite. I really liked Vern, but I think Avon was my favorite because of the techiness. And also like
the curiosity.
Yeah, there was an element
the
of
way
just,
she treats her droid. Like that. Yeah.
Like one of the things, and it really works well, is when they're trying to get off this ship, like they're coming to these doors that are blocked and everything. Yeah. And Vern has to be like, stop going ahead. There could be danger. But they're just just charging through. It was just, I just really enjoyed the character of Avon.
Yeah, me too. I love the way that she interacts and changes J6. Like she acts upon J6 to give J6 more free will, which is generally like the opposite. Usually you act upon somebody and take away free will, but she's acting upon and giving more free will. Like it makes me think like, this J6 storyline like kind of shares some similarities with like L3 from the Solo movie. Yeah, right? I definitely
wrote down about like droid like L3, and it reminded me a lot like her. But I like a scene. It's later in the book when they're trying to figure out how to come upon these bad guys, and she's like, "Oh, hang on a second. And she just went out there and was like, "What is she doing?" Yeah, and it's like, "Oh, improving. This is amazing." Like, and Avon's just like so excited. He's like, "Oh, she's pretending to do this." It's like she's just making up as her go. I know. I didn't program her for that. This is so cool. She was so excited about it. And
it's such a contrast to 3PO. Like 3PO is a protocol droid. He does things by the book, and when you don't do them by the book, he freaks out, and you have to shut him off because he goes crazy. He starts telling you odds that mean nothing.
Yeah, I don't care about the odds. No.
So like having that almost soul being put into a droid by like a girl that likes to tinker with things.
Yeah.
It gives you a feeling of like young Anakin a little bit, but no force, more curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And also all these kids have sad stories.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I think it was Avon who had to eat the Jabba stew all the time, right?
Jabba stew.
So, not good.
I try it out. I try everything once.
But no, for the story and stuff, like, what did you think? Like, we have the beginning started off with like 2 characters. I'm like, oh, I don't know, well, who are these characters? And they're the saboteurs on this ship that are going to be. They're taking this ship out, trying to like prove a point that the Nihil is going to control the outer sectors and stuff or something like that.
Yeah,
I believe.
they specifically are
like,
wanting to keep the Downan sector out of Republic control.
Yeah, like we do this and it's going to scare them away, kind of idea, and it's they kind of come back later on, which I'm glad, because like you want to have some enemies, and it's also trying to get like these guys caused this. I want to see repercussions for them happen.
Yeah, like I mean, the large majority of the book, these kids are feeling grief and have no one to direct it to. Yeah, and it's kind of like the first time they're dealing with this type of feeling. So it's really new, but it's really powerful, and you got, everything. And then when you suddenly have an enemy to look at, it gives you focus. And one of the things the dark side gives you is focus. Yeah, and that happens to one of our characters
with Emery. The one thing I really liked was Honesty was relating the master to his father, who he just lost. Yeah. And it's like, well, that was my master, that was my dad. And it's like, well, what did he do? And he's like, he like kind of named off. It's like, well, he did this and this and this. Like, that sounds like a parent, like, and it's pretty true. Where it's like, these Padawans are taken. They don't have
the
their
saddest
family.
thing about being a Jedi is you don't have any parents to love you unconditionally.
It's like your mentor, your master, is the closest thing you have to like a parent, to a guiding, a guiding figure to your life and what you're supposed to do. Like Qui-Gon to Obi-Wan. Yeah. So like having that and having that realization to Emery about like, I don't have a parent, but that's the closest thing to a parent I've ever had and may ever have again, was a sad moment. But I did like that. But you talking about like the dark side and everything too. There's there is an aspect with Emery, and I always feel weird talking around different aspects of the spoilers and stuff like that too. But like, you guys should have read it. Having Emery like teaming up with Honesty to try to take out these saboteurs, and having this anger that eventually goes on to fight Vern, because like it's like, well, if you won't let me kill them, then I have to kill you. Yeah. Like there's that
you're not
dark,
with me.
Yeah. You're my enemy. Like there's that enemy aspect that he puts there because of that dark side temptation. But I liked where it went later on, where it was, I think it was Vern who said, I think it was Vern. They said, like, it's not about, like, you fell to the dark side or were tempted by it. It's that you aren't corrupted by it and you continue those temptations to stop the corruption. Oh, and it's going to keep coming back. You're going to feel these temptations through your life. But dude, it's about stopping that,
That's one of the things that get me going when I read certain opinions about like the sequel trilogy of Luke Skywalker.
I said to you earlier today, I was like, it's one of my tangents. I might have a couple of tangents I might go on. This was one of the same kind of ideas where like,
go for it.
There was this that I was reading and like thinking about, and there was like something I saw where like someone did a tweet about something like about Luke Skywalker, and I was like kind of connecting them where like the same idea of like fighting the darkness works with Luke Skywalker from The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, all the way back into like Empire Strikes Back, to where like you're being in Empire, Luke has these vision of Han and Leia, and they're gonna die, and he acts on that, and he goes,
and he's 20.
Yeah, right.
He's so young. Yeah, I know if you're young, that doesn't sound very old, but to me, that's like, oh, he's a child.
Sure, and it doesn't go well. He falls into a trap. He loses his hand. Like we know that. Yeah. And then later on, like in The Last Jedi, I know some people were upset with like, you found Luke and he throws his lightsaber away.
I thought he dealt with these feelings when he was 20, and then would never feel them ever again.
But you have his the story that he tells about him and Ben, right? And then we also get that later on with Kylo telling us, here's the story that, he was there and he's going to kill me and I fought back and stuff. And then you kind of get a third story where it's like, that's probably more true because it seems to be in the middle of it all.
Which is just straight up what Obi-Wan's talking about when he says the truth depends on our own point of view.
Sure, yeah.
Like, that's the point. Like, Ryan Johnson gets it.
Yeah, right. Like I think there's a through line that didn't go through all the movies, but
Yeah.
I don't think that like some of the choices are just off the wall and ridiculous.
No, of course not.
When you have Return of the Jedi,
But just
in
don't
a
throw the
similar
baby
sense,
out the bathwater. You know?
yeah, in a similar sense, in Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker is going to save his father, and then he is, Vader's talking. He's like, "Oh, your sister," and he starts going through all that. And he's like, "No!" And then he, in the most aggressive fight that he has in that moment, almost kills his father, cuts off his hand, and then comes to realization and stops himself.
The only reason he doesn't kill him is because Vader's Vader.
Yeah, and he wants to be a Jedi like his father before him, right? Like he stops it.
Pure rage.
Yeah.
In service of his sister, that's the closest he's getting to the dark side at that moment. You know?
So when you go later on to like Ben and that aspect, and he's worried, right? Like there's like this never-ending cycle of like dark side, and are we keeping this cycle of violence going to where there's it just keeps coming around, right? Like Luke's like, oh well, we stopped the Empire, it should stop, but it's still going on. So he's cut himself off from the Force, but he does that after he has this Ben moment where he has this vision and he sees terrible things that Ben's going to do, but he hasn't done them yet, and he has that moment where he could kill him, but he stops himself like he stops himself from Vader. And I think Luke, like this book was talking about, it shows those times where it's like the dark side is going to keep tempting you, constantly, but it's about how you handle that and how you stop those temptations that make you a Jedi.
And it's dude, it is that. It's also dealing with the fear Luke now knows that just a moment's hesitation can ruin everything. Not even what he did or didn't do.
Yeah.
Just the idea of thinking like, oh my God, what if I could stop Darth Vader before he did all the terrible things? Not, let me try to save what's left of Anakin Skywalker inside the husk of this fascist, evil son of a bitch that does not deserve any redemption. But Luke loves him unconditionally. And he hesitated way longer to save his dad in Return of the Jedi when he was, I'm gonna kill this guy. You're not going after Leia, like I love that moment. The more and more times I watch The Last Jedi, the better and better and better it gets.
Sure.
And the more intolerant I am of other views.
Sure. No,
I know that's an asshole thing to say.
Yeah.
But
No, I mean,
be honest.
I think it's finding those connections is sometimes tricky, and I think one of the things too with going through these books is like I may not have thought about that the same way had I not been reading this and having that exact same lesson being told to a young adult, as like what Star Wars has kind of been saying through the movies anyway,
Absolutely.
And Luke's just a really good example of that. And
He's
I was like, that's really cool to have like that as a similar theme that was already in the movies. It was in the original trilogy. And it's also like in this High Republic book.
Yeah, but I mean, it's so important for our daily lives. I mean, how many people that struggle with addictions, right? Like go to an alcoholic and say, hey, so I realize that you're 20 years sober, so it must be really easy for you and you never slip or you never get tempted. And they're going to look at you like, what are you talking about? It's every day.
Sure.
Like you don't get it, like that's true of a lot of things in our life. And I like that we can have a story like this that's generally geared for younger people with younger characters. We can see it in Luke Skywalker, who's 20, 22, and we were watching it when we were younger and we're aspirating to that. And then I can also have the same experience when I'm in my 30s looking at a Luke Skywalker that's in his 60s, and I can be like, well, he still does it, and he can still be my hero. That's great stuff.
Yeah. No, it's really good. And then like he's so worried about that kind of stuff that he cuts himself off from the Force. It's why he doesn't notice like where's Han, those kind of things too. But it's that fear and that violent cycle that he has that he's like, I'm gonna do this so that it doesn't happen anymore. And had he not done that, how different could things have been later on? And also Obi-Wan did that. Like we have evidence of like him doing the exact same thing, being like, it's too much of a danger for me to do this. I have to cut myself off. I'll watch this young kid. And I'm not going to be there to help anything. But then he has to get summoned back and help and reconnect himself, which is the same thing that Luke does. Yeah. So
it's the destiny of the Jedi to confront fear.
Yeah.
And then either face it or turn your back on it.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to. I haven't gotten to watch those 3 again with my kids yet. I've been still trying to we've had a lot of dips in our consistency of watching stuff.
Sure.
But I'm wanting to finish Bad Batch season 2 with them.
Yeah.
Especially with 3 coming back, and then we have Ahsoka and those 3 movies. So I'm hoping to get those done here in the next probably couple months.
Gotcha.
Honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good. I'm excited for you and your family.
Yeah. Yes. All right. But anyway, I forget what we were talking about in the book, but yeah, that was one of the things.
We've covered basically the 4
characters.
Five main characters.
I think I put J6 with Avon.
I get what you mean.
Like, if Avon wasn't there, would J6 be there? J6 probably wouldn't be there alone.
Well, yeah,
you know,
true. But if Avon weren't there, Vanestra wouldn't be there because Vanestra is that's her mission is to protect that kid.
Sure.
So
yeah, I love J6 though, being like, well, if it all blew up, I wouldn't die. I would just be floating through space, freezing, and eventually find myself, you know.
Yeah, which is so Rogue One, K2SO.
Yeah,
is like, you know, you'll explode. I will be fine.
Yeah,
when they're going to the gate, very much so.
So J6 was interesting, and I love the L3 K2 kind of feel of this, where it's like it has its own ideas of what it wants to be, and it's like, I'm here to protect this person, and I'm also a bodyguard.
Did you look at the cover or the picture of J6 that Nexus gave to us?
I did. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like
Hu Yang.
Oh yeah, Hu Yang is what that's the first kind of feeling I got from it.
And then now that I've experienced some more droids from the High Republic era in other things, I'm like, oh, okay, they kind of have a look, they kind of have a shape. Protocol droids, they kind of have that like elongated, you know, head here. You know, there's a decent amount of droids that I saw just last night that I'm like, oh, well, they kind of have that look.
Very similar.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, I didn't have this droid before I watched or played that stuff.
Sense,
you know,
yeah.
so,
It's in the forefront of my mind.
yeah. No, it's interesting the way that we like experiencing this while doing this. Like you'll get different things. So like I was thinking about stuff from Jedi with like previous things we did because I played it earlier. You know, and then like you're thinking about it now, and it's just
I mean, I
have
to thank Nexus, who's in chat right now, one of our moderators, and helps us like figure out the order to do certain things and stuff like that. And he purposely is like, I want you to get back into High Republic before you start Survivor. So I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense now that I've checked out some Survivor. And it's been so long. I'm sure most people that are interested in staying away from spoilers have, but it's just cool to see that in a game like that. It feels like, you know, even though I've had that feeling for so many times now, like, oh my gosh, animation and live action. Oh my God, you know, like crossing over the different mediums and stuff. But it's always validating whenever, you know, something that I think a lot of people consider like, you know, yeah, I love Star Wars, I'm diehard, but I don't consume everything. And it's cool when that stuff can trickle over into other things that are more consumable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I enjoyed the general story and adventure they had.
Pretty basic.
It is fairly basic.
Yeah.
I mean, most of it's they get off the ship and survive that, crash land on another planet.
Yeah. And
then it's about them trying to survive on that.
Oh yeah, it's a stripped down version of what we just kind of read with Vader and Palpatine in a way.
Kind of, yeah.
Surviving and yeah.
So, but I did enjoy that they got their like little monkey pet thing for a minute there. Though I was kind of sad whenever they got rid of the little monkey pet thing. It was
immediately ripped away from you, and like the most sad, like, and then I heard a gunshot, and then its body flew out, and then it's dead. I'm like, Jesus, author.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, well, all right. Well, screw these bad guys, you know.
Yeah,
like
it was like a handsy or something like that because they're handsy. I can't remember exactly what the name was.
They named it something like that.
And it started with a C, the nickname. But yeah, that was sad as hell. But I mean, you know, it just fuels what Emery's feeling, which is just like these people. Like, I care so much about the sanctity of life, and these people have no regard. And if that's what you're going to do, that's what you're going to get. You know, like, it's very easy to think you're doing the right thing. And then when someone tries to stop you from doing that, it's easy to, you know, especially when you have red in your eyes, it's easy to think, oh, now they're not doing the right thing. Now I got to deal with them.
Yeah. No, Vern, first off, their lightsaber was great.
Lightsaber fight?
I love that. Well, Vern's lightsaber was great. I love that
lightsaber.
They had a lightsaber, and then they had augmented it to also be able to turn into a light whip, which I was like, oh, sweet. Like High Republic light whip, this would be sweet to have. And they're fairly young, so like, you know, young people, they're better at learning things.
True.
So I feel like she will be very good with this as she gets older because she's starting with it fairly young.
Yeah.
But with that, they also talked about like it's looked at as like a Darksider weapon and stuff too. They talked about the Night Sisters having it. They talked about what was like the Sith War. And they're like, no, Jedi used it during the Sith War to help fight the Sith, you know? And I was like, oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So I thought that
we'll later see the slavers and Clone Wars using light whips. So yeah, it does have some dark connotations.
Yeah.
But I mean, anything can be used for good or for evil.
Sure.
But I will just say I've never been a fan of a light whip.
Really?
But it's just purely from like a choreography standpoint. It's just not my favorite.
Is it light whip or whips in general? Do you like
whip.
Indiana Jones with the whip?
Yeah.
That's okay?
It's light whip. I take a Matt Stover, Revenge of the Sith, Count Dooku stance when it comes to my lightsabers, which is like, if you're not good with a lightsaber blade, you ain't good. All these other things, whips, double, General Grievous spinning, saws and, ones that fly. It's like, no, you got to be good with these 38 inches.
But you get more range,
Yeah,
you know?
I know.
If you can
I'm
switch
not
between
saying
the two,
I'm right. I'm saying I'm stubborn.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. There's situations where you need that stuff,
Yeah,
you know?
I know, and I would do poorly in those
Like,
situations.
you know how important pikemen were in like the like fighting horses
Yeah,
and stuff?
but if they could just be like, then they might not even do it. You know how heavy a pike is? You know how long they have to carry that? By the time I get to the wall, I've marched for 40 days carrying a stupid thing. I'm just kidding.
So
No, it's just not my thing.
sure.
Like, the Inquisitor lightsaber. It is not my thing. But I can enjoy it for what it is. I can even enjoy good choreography with it.
Sure. And that one I think is
Yeah.
definitely a thing where it's like, because you're not like really trained,
Yeah.
it's kind of a crutch in a way. That's why it spins and stuff
Yeah.
and helps augment what you can do.
Yeah.
Whereas her using the light whip, I thought was cool because like it's great. She was using it to clear stuff out.
Yeah.
Like, right, it's so much faster. It can reach further, and that's great.
Yeah.
You have to be careful with how you use it because you can hit behind you. But her fight against Emery, like I really like whenever like you get him disarmed, and she like kind of waits for him to go for it and it's like, don't do this, and he does. So she gives like a warning, like in between, like shh, and it's like,
Oh,
okay,
she
well,
has
now
a
what?
high ground moment.
Yeah, and it's like, don't do this.
Yeah.
So he goes again. So now she's like, I'm just getting that lightsaber, and she just cuts the lightsaber in half with the whip and stuff. But it was just so cool to see like that aspect and have a light whip show up in the High Republic.
True. Yeah.
So
No, I think that in trying to discover or at least reveal my biases against stuff like that, it was very prominent in the fan film community, like around the time of the prequels, to like, all right, I'm gonna do some crazy stuff. I'm gonna do black lightsabers, and I'm gonna do a light whip, and like the results with the technology at the time and the scale of the people doing it was not great.
Sure.
You know,
Okay.
like I've only seen one fan film that did a light whip that I like. Okay, that was cool. You know, it was one of the lightsaber choreography contest entries.
Sure. The
Well, what's her name? You know what I'm talking
Maxwell?
about. Yeah, Maxwell Sweat. Yeah. Now they did one. I was like, if you're gonna do it, that looks cool. You know.
Yeah, I always
It's
enjoyed.
it's like Trilla in Jedi Fallen Order. It's like she has that dumb lightsaber, but if you're gonna do it, she's at least cool with it.
Yeah.
She's not flying around everywhere.
There's one polearm version that I saw that I thought was really cool. Which
Polearm
is
lightsaber?
like lightsaber, where it's not like the whole saber is like this tall, and then it ignites the saber itself up here.
Sure.
But it was like there is a lightsaber, and then if you like twisted it, extended it, but it's all blade, and this piece moved up and down, so you could also block here, and it's dangerous.
Yeah.
But you can hold it and maneuver that, or
Yeah.
you can. I just thought that was really cool, to where you could like slide up and down the pole.
I think they're cool.
So that's what I like about it. Plus, it also made it as opposed to most pole arms, where it's like a spear is really only dangerous on the end. Right,
Yeah.
that's the pokey part. That's dangerous. This made it like I could still swipe you with this, or I could even push it like this, and it was just a lot of
I guess
options.
maybe I go back to the Kanan training Sabine.
Sure.
And she's kind of bringing like some of the Mandalorian tricks in, and he kind of is like, hey, these tricks might save your life like once or twice, but they're not going to keep you alive in the long run.
Sure.
You are going to keep you alive in the long run. So it doesn't matter what weapon you use, as long as you are letting the Force flow through you, in which case, use whatever you want.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
But I'll
I'll say
stick with the single.
She was using that to supplement for the Force.
Yeah.
So like I agree with him,
Yeah.
but it's also coming from the Jedi who's using the Force to see and augment his abilities too. You know,
Yeah.
so I get both sides of that a little
Sure.
bit. But no, just there's some different history elements. I like learning about the light whip a little bit more and just getting an idea of like she was even afraid to show it.
Yeah.
Like she was like, should I show them this? It kind of has a bad, it's like when you, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something you have where it's like this isn't necessarily bad, but a lot of people look at this as like it's probably bad.
Well,
you
and
know?
also
So I thought
like
that was interesting.
it is effectively a trick weapon.
Yeah.
That you like, it tricks you into a false safe security. It's like, oh, use a lightsaber, bam, lightsaber whip.
Yeah.
So you don't tell people.
Yeah. No.
You don't ever know who you're gonna fight.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like if I was Darth
Yeah.
Maul, I would fight with one blade.
Yeah.
And
You
then like
I
at
mean,
some
trick
point, maybe
weapons I have around the set in case I need to take you out. Of course you don't. No, cold. What's so cold?
I'm keeping this.
Don't press it.
If I go down, I'm taking you with me. Gonk, I'm sorry, you're just in the crossfire. A few other things I thought that were kind of interesting was that I don't remember learning, and maybe they said it in Light of the Jedi, but that Trandoshans grow their limbs back. I'm trying to remember if I knew that. When I heard that, I'm like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, did I know that? And I don't know. I don't remember when or if I would have learned that at some point. But I thought it was a cool mention because like Avon met Skier at the end of this, who has just recently came from the Light of the Jedi situation, and has lost an arm in that.
Yeah.
And in doing so, she's like, oh man, and it's like, don't ask about his arm.
Yeah.
Don't quit asking. Don't. I know you're excited, just don't. But she's like, I want to know how long it's gonna take to grow.
Yeah.
You know,
How functional is it?
Yeah.
Like,
when does it start working and stuff?
Week by week, that type of thing. That's
But
really interesting.
I found it to be kind of cool.
Maybe. See, I want to say, like when I heard that, I wasn't surprised at all. But maybe I was assuming that was the case and never actually told that Trandoshans do it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like,
Yeah.
well, that's cool. Did I know this? Because not every lizard can do that.
Like I assume Chewbacca, when he gets wet, shakes and gets it all off, like a dog.
Okay.
You know, like that.
Sure.
I just assume that. But if I was told it, I'd be like, well, yeah, of course, he's a dog. But if someone's like, they never actually said that, I'd be like, oh, okay, well,
It's the first time we learned that.
I just thought that was the case.
Did you know that Chewbacca gets a haircut? He would normally look like Cousin It.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
no, I didn't know
Does
that.
he have like
Did
an
I-
undercoat that develops for
Did I ever know that
Kashyyyk
before?
in winter? You know, I don't know.
I don't know either. But it's just little things like that sometimes are cool. The other one that I thought was interesting was it was something along these lines where it's like the Mon Cal find it rude to sneeze.
Yeah,
And I was like,
that made me laugh.
well, that's interesting. And I was like, I wonder why. Is it because you're in the water or something?
Well,
Or,
yeah,
you know,
and then
like,
it's floating around. You know?
yeah. I was just like, I wonder what exactly that.
Like generally on Earth or Earth-like planet, you sneeze, it goes down. You know, but if you sneeze in the water, like you're just in snotty water now.
I guess, yeah. But like, don't they? Where's their bathroom?
They have like a tube, sucks it all up
In the water.
I think so.
So they don't like.
I don't think they just go.
Okay, because like so that's what fish do, and they're like a fish people. So I didn't.
That's what apparently before plumbing. That's what Hogwarts students used to do.
they used to.
They would just go wherever and then vanish it away.
Oh, but
That's,
but
that's
you don't.
what J.K. Rowling said, and that was important information, so I know it.
But you don't know where it goes, right?
Just away.
Vanishing away, just it goes somewhere,
Do
right?
you think about where your shit goes when you just flush? I don't think about it at all.
I do because I have a septic tank, and when that stuff gets
I don't know where it
full, I
goes.
have to deal with that.
I have a septic tank too. I just haven't lived there long enough to deal with it.
And then another theme that they had, I don't know if theme's the right word. It's not something that we've never heard before, but a common thing that happened as they were like having their struggles and talking about, the loss of their master, or not their master, but it could be the loss of Emery's master, it could
Their
be the loss of
authority
their father,
figures.
a loss
Yeah.
of whatever. How could this happen? How could the Force allow this and stuff?
Their
And
foundation.
it kept coming back to the idea of like everything is as the Force wills it, which is a thing that we've heard many times. I'm pretty sure Qui-Gon has said it. I'm pretty sure Obi-Wan has said it. Like it's mentioned a lot.
Yeah,
and,
Chirrut Imwe.
Yeah, and it started to make me think more about like, does any Star Wars character get a choice in what they do? Or is it all like a predetermined destination kind of thing?
I mean, do you want to get into this? Because I could be like, do
This-
you think you have a choice
This
for
was
the
my
things you
second.
do?
This is my second tangent thing, right? So in that,
Aaron, this year I became a determinist.
in that, like, if I have a determining factor in what I get to do, like
Yeah.
that's under the idea of like,
Yeah.
is there a higher power that thus determines my choices and where I go. And I don't know for sure if there is, but in the Star Wars realm, I do.
Yep.
Like I know the Force does exist. I've seen the power it has.
But
I've seen.
Does it have a will?
I don't know. They say the
our
wills,
characters
right?
just believe it has a will?
I don't know. There's definitely like things that have happened. I mean, Luke shooting and trusting in the Force to shoot those missiles. Does that mean he has to focus his skill? Or does that mean he's like, trust in the Force, come on, bam, and the Force is like, all right, I got it. I got it from here, bud.
Right.
Bam, you're the hero now.
Or is he just in the zone?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yoda
Just
sinking three shot.
Yoda goes to get visions and stuff in Clone Wars and
Yeah.
sees all the little mask creatures on that planet, and that's like a heightened Force location, and they seem to have some kind of urgency. We've seen the Mortis gods, like they are called gods. They seem to have some kind of control and wanted Anakin to join them, though Anakin didn't take his spot like they wanted him to.
Yep.
But they also like there's a fight and their son did some stuff and like people were dying and he's like, I'm getting out of here. This place is crazy. I don't really know. So like, I guess he had a choice in that aspect, I suppose. But the gods were actually there asking them.
Yeah.
Right? Like the father was there like, hey, we want you to do this. And I don't know if none of that other stuff happened and the son didn't do that, how much of a choice Anakin would have gotten. I don't know for sure. You know?
I guess my real answer is it doesn't matter if they have a choice or not, because your choices still mean something. Like, even if you're predetermined to side with your wife because that's what you do whenever you're a husband. You want to be a union of of two people that come together and are partners in life. So inevitably, when there's something that goes, that is causing my wife pain versus not, I'm going to go with the thing that doesn't, And do I have a choice? Not really, because I love my wife. But also, it's because I choose to love my wife, and I made that choice a long time ago, that I make that choice, and it does mean something. So, like, you can look at it both ways. It doesn't invalidate necessarily if you say, like, there is no choice, because what do you believe?
Yeah, but
about
in that
your
sense,
choice?
you have something, like, definitely there that you can see the repercussions of and whatever, too. Like, if the Force, everything is as it wills, as the Force wills it, like, them getting off the ship wasn't their choice. It was going to happen regardless, right? Or the ship was going to blow up and kill all these people regardless. I mean, like, it's kind of, how could the Force allow this to happen? So I'm like, is there the choice the Nihil are making, or are they disconnected from the Force? Luke, took away the Force, right? So, like, that must have been a choice from him.
Away from it, yeah.
Or did the Force want him to do that? There's just some of those kind of thoughts I was having of, like, is Star Wars an actual place with choices, or is it all predetermined in a way? But it's also all storytelling, so yes.
What would Qui-Gon say?
Don't worry about it and live in the moment, I guess?
Yeah. Because, I mean, choices are really complicated. Like, you can think you have a dichotomy. I can do this or I can do this. But what you're not thinking about is the stuff you're ignorant about, and that there's always other choices. So you can always do different things. Maybe there's a million choices, But at this moment, where am I? Make a decision, go. And do that step by step. That is where the living force is. There's the cosmic force, and there's what keeps, the stars rotating and orbiting, and, what keeps life going. And there's the big, maxi big, the force.
Sure.
But Qui-Gon will tell you, like, what do you think right now? Decide. Go. Use your instincts. Listen to the midichlorians. They'll tell you,
Yeah, but aren't they connected to the Force?
They are, but you're making that decision to be in the moment.
When Obi-Wan is killed on the Death Star and Luke is standing there and he's no, and he's shooting and he's like, run, Luke, and you hear Obi-Wan say that.
Yeah.
Is Obi-Wan saying that?
Yeah.
Is the Force using his voice to tell him to try to get Luke to go because it wants Luke to go, and there really isn't an Obi-Wan saying that at the moment? Like, I'm just like, how much of the Force powers is there? And can the Force just like, you know what? Qui-Gon's just dead.
Yeah.
But I'm going to use his voice to tell Yoda this stuff to get him on the track that I want him to be to help with this. You know
Look,
what I mean?
I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit. So I'll just say, yeah, it's Obi-Wan. You hear him? Who played that? Who was credited? Who got paid for that line?
Yeah, sure. No, I get you.
But also, Obi-Wan said, like, if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you possibly can imagine. I can talk to the people alive while I'm dead.
That's what he believes.
Well, he was vindicated.
Because of a Force ghost of Qui-Gon telling him so.
Exactly.
Which is the Force telling him so.
Sure, yeah.
So how much control does the Force have versus individuals?
How much faith
So I don't know. I was just
is
curious on that.
required to believe,
Yeah, I don't know.
right?
Yeah. I mean, enough to push you over that edge, right?
Like if I went to church and, the priest started levitating people in the in the congregation.
Yeah, I'd probably
be like,
like,
oh God,
dang, man,
I'd be
that's-
like the Ewok being like, God is real and he is gold.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So I would require less faith to believe in something like that. And Jedi and people that are around them, they see these miracles happen every day.
Yeah.
So I think it takes less faith, but it doesn't rob somebody of, when given a choice. I think it's really easy to go like, what does it even matter? What if this is God's plan or this is the will of the Force? Qui-Gon would tell you like, hey, you're right here. Don't think about this. Here, go.
Sure.
And that's, I think,
It's just like
a big
Anakin-
lesson for all of us.
Anakin going and stopping Mace from stopping Sidious.
Yeah.
Like that kind of moment there. Like, is
Anakin,
that his choice? Did he make the choice? Or
yeah, he did.
Or is there also like the Force has pushed him on this route to where he feels he made the choice because it gave him visions of his wife dying. It's given him like all these different elements and molded him to
Or
this,
Palpatine did.
to this point. But also, yeah, did Palpatine do it? I don't
Yeah.
know. So yeah, I was just
But
thinking
here,
about that.
I'll give you the ultimate, and we already talked about it this episode of Badonkagonk. I think we probably talk about it every episode of Badonkagonk.
Probably, yeah.
When Anakin Skywalker hears Luke Skywalker say, Father, please help me, in the moment, he's asked, hey, can you do something? And Anakin goes, yeah, I can. He stays in the moment. He does what Qui-Gon tells him to do. It doesn't matter that I'm Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith, that has subjugated the entire galaxy for 20 years. In this moment, my son's asking for my help, and what can I do? I can throw this old geezer in this hole.
Yeah.
And he does it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what the will of the Force is. It doesn't matter what
Well-
the balance of the Force is.
well,
It
'cause
doesn't matter what wise priests and old sages are going to talk about. Oh, this was a prophecy, and this is the chosen one. No. Throw that out the window just like you do that old man.
So it's not like the Force
It's
willed
a
it,
father
brought
that
them
chooses to help
together,
his son.
led these choices to these points
Maybe.
so that these people would make this decision.
Maybe, but I think that's unknowable. What I do know is that I right now am being asked by my son to save him, and I can do it, and I can make that choice, regardless if that choice is an illusion or not. It's still something that I can act upon in the moment, in the living Force, not the cosmic.
I don't know.
Come
Maybe
back next Sunday for another sermon.
Maybe we'll talk to Chad about that later on and see if they have any questions about it. But
Maybe.
it was just something I saw like every time because
Yeah.
they said it multiple times in this,
They did.
and I was like, man, if that's the case, all those people are gonna die, and there's no point because like you guys got out of there. That's what the Force wanted. Like, there's no real choice, but maybe there is.
Everybody dies.
So I don't know. They do, but usually not on exploding spaceships, unless you're in space a lot. Then I guess you're more likely to die on an exploding spaceship,
I mean, if I never get in a car again, I'll never be in a car accident.
unless you cross the street.
What if I stay in the woods?
You never know. Someone could be driving through the woods.
I'll drive in the woods.
Let's see. What else did I have? This one was like we said before. It was a fairly short book, so there was a few points that I wanted to make sure that I got to mention and whatnot. I thought it was cool to get Master Skier, and they had the mention of like Starlight Beacon and Legacy Run, and just more connections to the previous books that we had already covered.
Every time they mention Starlight Beacon, like I'm liking what we're getting to the High Republic, but every time they talk about it and like what it's supposed to do and like the frontiers it's going to cross and the planets it's going to connect and all the good it can do, I keep wanting to be like, can we do that? I want to read a book about that. It's always about, hey, this is around, and then these damn pirates come out and start, and then the sky's exploding. Damn it!
We're in the beginning.
I know.
We
I'm
get-
impatient.
It has to get through
I know.
more things.
I'm just really excited by
More
the
story
world
aspects.
they've created, and like the beacon sounds so cool, and I want to see it done.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we'll get there, I believe, probably.
I'm just saying, I got to see what Death Star does a bunch of times.
Well, yeah,
I
but
got to see what Starkiller Base does. I want to see what Skylight Beacon does.
But you had to wait through, the whole movie to see.
Alderaan
not the
blew
whole
up.
movie.
Alderaan
It's
blew
halfway
up in
through
like
or so.
an hour.
But you still got to sit there and watch this farm boy like drive through the desert and pick up a
and
droid.
I've read 3 books.
Yeah. Well, that's that part. And we jump around a little bit.
We do.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's most of my like major notes of things I wanted to make sure that I got to talk about and stuff. I like I said, the themes and stuff of the book, I like a lot of that. The idea of the dark side always tempting, and having 2 Jedi and then 2 non-Jedi that are with us. Now, the one question I did have that I hope we get more later on is that at the very end, I mentioned the light whip cutting that lightsaber in half. And then Avon was kind of like, well, no one's going to miss a broken lightsaber,
Yeah, I love
right?
that ending for her.
So I just put this in my bag, and I was
Yeah.
like, man, I wonder where that goes,
I
or
do too.
if it comes back, or what, you know?
I'm of 2 minds on it because I agree with you. Like, ooh, that's cool, but also like that's a cool ending for a character to be like, ooh.
But what do you do with that?
What? Yeah, that's so interesting. Like the possibility, and there's almost like it's like a poetry of like never getting that answer because then the possibilities are never answered for you.
I mean, maybe, yeah.
You
Like,
know,
do they make
use
a
your
weapon?
imagination.
Do they give it to J6? Do
Yeah.
they find a way to make lightsabers better?
Right? I don't know.
Like, she would be the person that, like, I would believe if she got it, we have lightsabers that still have a battery pack to them, and then she makes them wireless.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Absolutely.
I could see her being that kind of person.
Yeah.
But I don't know where we go with that from here. So
She's
I'm
like the
interested
person
to
that
see if
like
that comes back.
turns on like let's do a practice mode. You know?
Yeah.
Or like in the middle of a fight, I'm gonna make it 3 meters.
It's longer. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So-
or I'm just gonna make a lightsaber gun. It can't be blocked.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like Ezra?
Yeah.
But they block that.
Stormtroopers get it.
Could you imagine, like, a bullet that you can shoot that also will reflect the laser bolts if it crosses their paths?
Dude, Revolver Ocelot.
I mean, he could do that kind of stuff, I
Hell
guess.
yeah.
Right?
I know, but like he could be even better.
Yeah, be sweet.
Yeah.
We need like a Jedi who has lightsaber guns.
Do we? After the whip and the Inquisitor sabers and me being
I-
like, I like a blade. You're
Now
like, let's
imagine
get a guns.
The lasers being shot that are made of lightsaber lasers and stuff.
That's what the Death Star
Oh,
is.
man, that'd be so cool.
It's kyber crystals and
Yeah.
a big gun.
And how cool is that?
So cool they made it twice.
And 3 times if you count Starkiller.
or 7 times if you count Legends.
Yeah, sure. All right. I don't think I have. Did you have too much else with the?
Well, the
book
only other
itself?
thing I think that I wanted to talk about was, you know, because I'm always fascinated by the way different authors write lightsaber fights. Some of them get into like the precognition of a Jedi and the flow of the Force, but sometimes they talk about just single strikes and very like things like you're in the moment. Like I went here and then I went here. But this one, I was like, oh, okay, so we're gonna lightsaber fight. I didn't expect this. This is interesting. And then like Vanestra just beat the crap out of Emery. Like, holy! I thought at least there was gonna be some stuff where it's like, oh, okay, well the dark side does make you more powerful. It's quicker, you know. But Emery's more experienced. But like, she just tossed him over the ship into the trees, you know, like nothing. I was like, huh, that felt weird. Until the end of the book where she's made his new master, and I'm like, oh, that's why you do that. Okay, that makes sense. So that was really the only other thing that I had of note for it. But it was a fun book. It was a simple book.
It was. And I assume there are characters that will maybe show up more within the High Republic. Like, I feel like a few of these, and this one too, is like introducing characters that we will then see more as it goes on. Just like how Master Skier shows up here, but it's not his book, but he shows up, you know?
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to make sure if we had any questions or anything about the book before we move on to anything else. I will check out this super chat, which is from Carl Kraus.
Carl, what's
it's
up,
not
man?
directly about the book, but it just say in the Survivor Stream chat last night, somebody pointed out that the fight choreo in the releases following Revenge of the Sith is clunky without Nick Gillard. Should he have come back, or were the fights okay to you?
Look, I don't know if there's anybody, maybe in the world, that appreciates Nick Gillard more than us. I love Nick Gillard, but I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like every single thing Nick Gillard's ever done is great. I mean, what's your favorite lightsaber fight in episode 2?
In episode 2?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess
There's
like,
Anakin versus Dooku. There's Dooku versus Obi-Wan. There's Dooku versus Yoda.
Yeah.
There should be awesome stuff in that.
I was gonna say, I guess when Anakin gets the 2 sabers,
For
but like
4 moves.
all of that is very short
Yeah.
and short-lived. You know.
Yeah. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I know that Nick Gillard could prepare as much as he could, and then George Lucas would come in and be like, I'd rather him jump here. And he's like, what? He's like, just kick him and jump. And then there's that one point in Duel of the Fates where Darth Maul like awkwardly kicks Obi-Wan and then jumps out of the way, you know? And I've always thought like, that's so strange. Why does that feel like it was inserted And it was. So George Lucas like, just kick him and jump.
Kick him
you
and
know?
jump. Okay.
And also Lucas came in and completely ruined Palpatine versus Mace Windu. But I mean, I like Nick, but I mean, are we going to say that he's the only person that can do it? No, of course not. I mean, I think that as long as we don't go, too crazy or too one earthly style into something. I don't want pure wushu. I don't want pure kendo. I don't want, my favorite thing that Nick Gillard ever talked about was like that he believed like these guys are the greatest warriors in an era with guns, and they use swords. They must have trained in every style, including fencing and axe cutting and hatchetry and, everything.
Broadsword, short.
And they do that because when these two people get together and start to fight, they're fighting at 1,000,000 miles an hour in the future. So whenever you see like these, in my opinion, dumb videos of like, hi everybody, I'm a sword master. I'm going to tell you why Star Wars is wrong about the way it fights. You wouldn't spin because I can stab you in the back. And I want to be like, they can see the future. They're not fighting right now. They're fighting 10 moves from now. They're trying to set themselves up in this chess piece spot, in which case then the fight is being told. So Nick Gillard pioneered that, and I will give him all the props. And Duel of the Fates is one of the greatest lightsaber fights in the world. In a little bit, we're going to be watching the Revenge of the Sith version of that fight. That's one of the greatest lightsaber fights to ever do
really good.
But I don't think that diminishes anything that we've seen from other stuff. The sequel trilogy, honestly, I think like its intensity and its move sets aren't bad. The only thing at that point is scripting. I'm not convinced that the lightsaber choreography that we had of, let's say, Rey versus Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens was choreographed with the intention that Kylo Ren is suffering a grievous gut wound. If it was, that should have been part of the story of a fight. I'm a sucker for...
He punches himself, Eric.
That's not enough. That's George Lucas. Kick him and jump. Stories or fights need to tell stories. You need to know exactly who's better than who's on the defensive, why are they on the defensive, how are they going to get out of it. Are you in their head, like noticing, oh my God, they just shifted this thing that they're going to trip over, fights, you need to be in that. And I feel like the sequel trilogy did like their fight choreography over here, and then they were like, all right, cut. All right, we need some fighting, so bring this set in, and here's the fighting. And it didn't have the storytelling that Nick Gillard would put in.
I did always like the throne room fight in Last Jedi.
Yeah, I love the performance.
I know a lot of people like get on it because like a lot of the guards in the background are kind of sitting around and not doing a lot in here and there. But like if you just didn't see them, you wouldn't think about it, and you would probably enjoy it too. But because you see them, people are like, why is that guy doing this? But I'm like, the fight and what they have in there, I think is really good.
No, I mean, it is.
That's without Nick Gillard as well.
It is. It's the best fight in the sequel trilogy. I
think there's getting the story aspect is important, but you don't want to have like only one person can ever make lightsaber fights, because also like you want it to continue after they're gone, right?
Yeah.
Like you want to be able to progress any story stuff or whatever that they're doing with this franchise. So I don't want it to be like, well, no more Nick, so no more lightsaber fights.
Sure.
And I've seen some amazing lightsaber fights from like fan films and stuff over the years that have no connection to Nick Gillard except for that they were fans
for the inspiration,
watching lightsaber fights when they were young.
Yeah, and
they're like, I want to do that too.
I mean, it's like saying like, I can understand saying somebody saying I don't want Star Wars unless it's from George Lucas, and I could be like, fair. That's not my standard, but fair, And if someone else said like I don't like lightsaber fights unless it's done by Nick Gillard, like I might not agree. But me and you might be best friends.
Sure.
Because I love Nick Gillard.
He makes great fights.
Yeah.
He does a good job.
And we should shout out, too, Gillard Stunts on YouTube is Nick Gillard's YouTube channel, and he's been slowly releasing. They would shoot a lot of previs stuff for these fights, and you get to see a lot of like how they were kind of meant to be, and then you can see how they were chopped up by Lucas to fit into his story and his vision. But they're pretty fantastic. The more I see it, the more I can see, the flaws in terms of like targeting and economy of moveset and that type of thing. But at least those videos, like those are training videos. Like how often when we would do a lightsaber fight and we're training, are we going 100% full performance? It's
Sure.
almost never, you know? So
No.
it's not a big deal. But
and
generally, whenever they're filming those previous videos, they try to kind of capture that. you
And
know?
all those is trying to get the memorization down too,
Yeah.
to make sure I remember where I need to be and
Yeah.
when I need to be there, and I'm messing up a lot trying to
Yeah.
do those training things. I mean, you mess up a lot doing the recordings too.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, you know,
Oh,
like
all the time.
It's just
Yeah.
it happens. So
But no, we'll go into more of this when we get into the fan film we're about ready to watch. Yeah.
yeah, that'd be good.
Thanks for the question, though. I love talking about lightsabers so much.
All right. Before we get into the next thing, I just want to make sure if there's any questions regarding anything with the book, and if not, then we'll move on, and then we'll try to pick up questions afterwards. So, Nick. Okay. Question from Al Hussein, who said, "A Test of Courage is the first middle grade novel you guys covered, as far as I know. Did you notice that much while reading it?"
Yeah.
It's definitely shorter, like by a lot.
It's also a very simple plot. Like, there's not a lot of intricate story threads that are getting pulled, and you're like, well, where are we going?
Yeah.
You generally know where you're going.
Yeah. I did after reading it and stuff, I was like thinking like Coulson and Leon. I was like, you guys should read this book.
Yeah.
I think you guys would enjoy it. And it's not a hard read, but like you said, the plot's fairly simple.
Yeah.
Like that's why a lot of my notes are like, what are some little things and themes? Because like the general story is these people are on a ship.
Yeah.
The ship is destroyed, and we escape the ship, crash on a planet, and then we survive on the planet until we fight the people who destroyed the ship.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is the third High Republic thing, and that we've checked out, and I think that every book has given me characters that if they pop up again, I'm like, yeah, you know, Yvonne's back, or
Yeah, if J6 just came walking
yeah.
through somewhere, wait a minute, why is that droid acting weird?
you're geoed, you know,
Geode, yeah.
like you know,
Geode. No, there's
all
definitely
that
some
type
cool
of
stuff.
thing. Like when
Skier showed up in
when
this
Skier
one, I was
shows
like,
up.
oh, dude, Master Skier,
Yeah.
cool. I like that.
yeah. So I mean, even though it's for a younger audience, if these characters show up in a book made for an older audience, I'm gonna be very happy that I covered this one.
It's interesting because it's a tricky thing with High Republic, where I'm trying to make sure I remember, and I don't have a lot of connection to a lot of these characters.
Yeah.
So like when we go into like Catalyst, if someone shows up that's from like Andor or someone from Clone Wars or Rebels, like I have a bigger connection to that timeline and those characters that I connect dots a lot easier. Whereas this one, I'm trying to build those dots to connect them and make sure I remember those dots are things I can connect to. So when I have things like, oh, Trandoshans can grow back their arms, that's neat to something that I've already been a fan of for a long time. Mon Cal don't like it when I sneeze. Make sure I remember that if I ever meet a Mon Cal, you know, like just stuff like that. I mean, like those are easier for me to like connect onto than like there's a name. Oh, dang, I swear I know that name, but where do I know that name from? And like I have to like either go back and look it up or figure out and just make sure I remember these characters that I've not spent my whole life watching and learning about and reading about or any of that. So. But no, so far I've liked a lot of different characters from these three books. All right, I think that's the last one that's more book related, and we'll get into some of the other questions later on.
We'll be covering Catalyst next.
Catalyst will be the next book that we cover on the 22nd when Bad Batch comes out. Will be the next Badonkagonk.
Bad bitch.
So let's check out the Clone Wars.
Is
video.
it time?
Yeah.
This is from a YouTube channel called Hello There. Clone Wars, Battle of the Heroes, a Star Wars fan animation. Gonk's excited. I'm excited. All right. Are you guys ready? I know a lot of people have been waiting for this. And hey, everybody, if you're not watching live on our Badonkagonk podcast, we're watching this video now on the YouTube channel right here. So make sure you subscribe, and let's get into it. You ready, Aaron?
Yes. Clone Wars, Battle of the Heroes. Hello there.
Okay. Well, this music is not in Revenge of Us. We're going red.
Okay, that's cool.
That means it's important. Yeah, we got Battle of the Heroes.
I hear both there, right?
All right. Yeah, and we're going classic.
This is
title
like the
sequence,
last
too.
season of Clone Wars kind of thing here. Could you imagine if this was in the last season, like with like all the stuff that was going on.
I like what we got, but I get you. Ooh, okay. Ooh, this is interesting.
Huh.
This is Christophsis arc that was never aired from the Clone Wars, so you can watch the animatics.
You can't take responsibility for Ahsoka's decision, Anakin.
How would you feel if I turned into a major disappointment?
It's not the same.
It's precisely.
Character models look great.
Yeah.
You took me under your wing and practically raised me. I'm your Padawan, just like Ahsoka was mine.
I like the
How
voices
well
too.
would you sleep knowing I failed you?
Not very well, I imagine.
Yeah, I wonder if
Luckily,
there's AI in
that
there or
isn't
not.
true.
Luckily, that isn't true. Oh my god.
Never will be.
I like that intensity they had on Clone Wars Anakin there. And now, do we jump?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm just most excited to hear these voices say these lines.
Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
If you're not with me, then you're my enemy!
Only a Sith deals in absolutes. I will do what I must.
You will
We'll
try.
try. Look at the movement on the sleeves.
I wonder if we will not cut away.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Okay, they definitely have the Clone Wars trails, which is that
Sure,
kind
yeah.
of curved trail.
But it's not jumping to the next move, though. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? How they would do that?
Huh, interesting. It's definitely not committing to all Revenge of the Sith or all Clone Wars. It's a mix between, which is kind of jarring to me, but I do like it. Okay, nice. You can definitely, I mean, I've watched this fight a million times. You can definitely see what's going on here. Yep. Yep. Here it comes. Yeah.
I always love this fight.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, the model work is great. I mean, they have the advantage of being able to just perfectly reference Revenge of the Sith.
Sure, yeah.
So, you know, like, they're doing a
Oh,
little...
cool.
Yep. They're doing a little bit of... Oh, here we go, yeah.
Would you think they'll switch hilts?
I don't know. I mean, we're definitely adding some stuff in that was cut out. Here we go, yep.
It doesn't have to end like this, Anakin.
The Empire will thrive under my rule, but you won't be alive to see it.
Yeah, a lot of cut stuff from this era.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this music. Yep.
Yep.
I always hated that, by the way.
Really?
Yep.
Eh.
This part where they're just kicking each other.
That
it's
I always
the
thought
worst part of the duel.
It was a clothesline with a foot. And
I know.
That's the thing I always thought was silly.
Yeah, and he just like runs into Obi-Wan's foot there. But,
Yeah, it's like a clothesline.
But hey,
you know?
they're homaging it. That's what the original had. You gotta do it. This
Whoa,
is
what's
sweet.
this?
This is such good stuff that they cut out George Lucas.
Yeah, you don't know.
No, I do.
Is this?
I do know.
That's really cool. I love that. That force pull into the table.
There we go. You think they're gonna do this better?
No. Better?
Oh, they did. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't have the gravity of the Clone Wars. Were you thinking that it was going to have the gravity of the Clone Wars?
I don't know. It's hard to think about like Clone Wars as like fight feeling, but doing it as Revenge of the Sith.
You know, like one of the reasons the
it has
Clone
that
Wars
middle ground.
lightsaber trails have that kind of curviness into it is to give a lot more life into a very stilted choreography from that, especially the early show.
Sure.
And seeing it in this very intricate choreography, it's too distracting for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't notice it as much.
Damn
I like
light
it,
whips.
I like it better than in lightsaber fights in Clone Wars when they just kind of jump from like here's the connection,
Yeah.
jump to this connection,
Yeah.
and you don't really see the movement.
They get
Light
on the
whips.
thin.
Shut up.
Then they get on the thin thing, and then the droid's like, "Oh crap, I gotta get out of here." But hey, the models look great. The facial animations look great. You don't have to, you know. I doubt they redid the sound and everything in the music. They're just lifting it, right?
Probably.
But I mean, here's the thing: like, I'm seeing Hayden Christensen's personality that Clone Wars Anakin doesn't really have in his movement. Does that make sense?
Sure. I mean, it has to be a meld of the two,
Yeah.
right? This is Hayden's fight.
Yeah. I think this fight, a total of like 14 minutes originally, and then it's down to like 12 in the final cut.
They definitely cut out a good few chunks of it. I remember that. I don't.
One of the
remember how
longest
much, though.
sword fight scenes in history.
Because later on, like watching it the first time when I was younger, I was like, "Oh, it's so cool." But I remember watching it later on, and be like, "Dang, I wish they weren't cutting away here. I want to see what
And
happens."
they're
here."
gonna go over a lava waterfall.
Well, first we have to swing.
Man, John Williams is just like he's more on fire than Mustafar is in this song. I love Battle of the Heroes. Oh,
Just so make it sound.
Aaron,
I love
you know?
this, and I love Duel of the Fates, though. I like both
Oh
a
yeah.
lot. Now we gotta hop on the
I
droid.
mean, hey, I mean, some of these shots I can kind of squint and just be like, this is just still the movie.
Oh yeah. No, I mean,
So great job. The atmospheric.
I think a lot of the
effects.
environment stuff looks real good.
Yeah.
But when you see them, you know, obviously. But
Yeah,
I mean, that looks really good right there.
it was fantastic. You know, it has that element of like tracing is the wrong word because I think that implies that you're not doing as much work as obviously is being done. You know, but it does have that element of like, oh, I recognize all this.
I wonder how far it goes.
I have found you, Anakin.
Does it go to him just screaming and he walks away?
I have found you.
I have failed you, Anakin.
Hey, Eric, spoilers.
I should have known the Jedi was plotting to take over.
Anakin, Chancellor Palpatine is evil.
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Well, then you are lost.
What do you think those guys are thinking?
That's the craziest day at work they've ever had.
We're just here mining lava or whatever it is they do,
Yeah.
you know?
This is the end for you, my master.
Love the foot placement. That's that very Clone Wars compared to the Revenge of the Sith.
It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground.
You underestimate my power.
Good.
Don't try it.
How far do we go, you think?
I'm assuming he yells and he walks away.
Okay.
But I don't know. Some way.
You were the chosen one. It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them. Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness.
I definitely have thoughts, Aaron. I have thoughts when we're done.
I hate you.
You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you.
This just sounds like Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, I don't know if they pulled some of the audio or what. I mean, I would probably assume that guy's dead too.
Oh yeah, he's
You know, he's sitting there on lava burning.
yeah. I
So
have,
I don't know that I would just leave him like that.
no, I go kill him. But I mean, he's going through it. and he will continue to go through it for 10 years until the guy burning comes up and say, "Hey, man, it wasn't your fault."
Yep, there it was.
Yeah,
Turned
there
and walked
it
away.
was.
Oh, it's not over, Eric. There's more.
We got
He's
it.
coming to get him.
Yep. There he is. I love that Palpatine walks like a T-Rex. I love it. Like, he just has these weapons anytime. Bam! You know?
Oh. Man, we just kind of keep going with it.
We might go to the You Killed Her scene soon.
Yeah, they go all the way to the creation of just maybe the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Those medical droids are almost the same exact droids that work on Luke.
Oh, we're going to here too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oompa. Oompa. I love those nanny droids. Show me Anakin's eyes. It's a slightly different angle. I mean, that could just be live action right there.
I mean, it really could be.
Obi-Wan. There's good in him.
Well, hey guys, just
I
at this
know.
point, do the whole movie.
I know.
Yeah.
Clone Wars version of the whole prequel trilogy. See Vader take his first breath, and then we cut to her taking her last. You know?
Well, you're gonna tell me why Revenge of the Sith is one of the best movies of all time. May 19th, 2005, when I first saw this movie. Midnight showing.
Oh. Anyone have to know?
Don't know. Cowards? No, I'm kidding.
Cowards.
I always thought it was weird when Vader crossed his hands there. He so rarely does that.
Cross his hands?
His arms.
His arms?
Yeah.
Does he really cross his arms?
He usually just stands straight. See the red lenses in there? It's awesome. Did the Revenge of the Sith Vader suit have the red lenses?
I know they did in Clone Wars, right? Whenever he's like looking at the end of the
Yeah.
crash and everything.
All right.
So it may be using that if they didn't in
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith.
Great stuff. Fantastic.
Oh,
Ben
what-
Johnson,
what were the-
animator.
What'd they do for voices? Do they just...
They haven't done it yet.
Cause I don't know if they just pulled a lot of it or if it was someone doing it.
Man, I know you guys got a lot of views on YouTube, but I bet you all that monetization is going to with all this music, you know?
Huh.
What did it say?
Okay. So... Yeah, there we go.
And all the patrons.
Thank you for the patrons. that
Okay,
helped
well,
do this.
awesome. Thank you, Gunk.
The audio section said that it was pulled from Revenge of the Sith and Lego's Skywalker Saga.
That makes sense. The Lego games.
Yeah.
Hmm.
which I thought was interesting that was where. And then they had a section just after that said additional lines by someone else, I think. But
Sure.
I don't remember who it was. So a
All
lot of
right.
that then the audio-wise is pulled from whatever they had for those, which I don't know what they used. They might have, more than likely, Lego Star Wars, if they had lines for that, they probably used, James Arnold Taylor and Matt Lanter and stuff like that for that.
I mean, obviously, when you play that game, you're supposed to use the versions that's where they just emote.
I guess, yeah, that's true.
All right, so Aaron, Hello There Productions. What do you think?
I mean, I thought it was really interesting. I'd love to see like a more like animation style version of Clone Wars or the Star Wars prequel. I think it's just kind of a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. It was pretty good. There's something about the Clone Wars fights that don't usually gel a lot with me because they're not all done like Ahsoka versus Maul at the end, right? It's not actually people fighting and they're using that as how the fight's going to be played out, whereas this one is using it, so it has that leg up on it. Usually it's like you use the key art of like here's where the connections are, and the from a high strike to a low strike, it's a strike and then kind of a blur to the next one. And the
animation,
motion and the movement is just
animation is so different. Like generally, anime and animation, you pause on strikes, right? Like in real choreography, and you're going here, 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 here. In animation, you go here, 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 here. You know?
Yeah.
And the filler frames between those strike lines happen very quickly to the point where, like, if you pause it, they don't look like anything. Sometimes they look like just like
a blur.
Blubber, like paint on a page, because it's very different. And Clone Wars kind of did that to a certain extent with style of fighting. So going into this, like I will say, having watched it now, my only complaint is that it's too good.
Too good.
Like, for an example, like it's distracting to me to see the textures of the rocks on the lava beach. If you told me that was just a photograph of a lava beach, I'd be like, oh, that's what that looks like, you know? But next to Anakin's face with not surface scattering, and it doesn't have the same qualities as the rocks right beside his face, there's a little bit of a mismatch for me sometimes. But I'm only saying that because you made everything look too good.
Sure.
It looks really, really good, which is a compliment and a critique.
I really like the like not cutting away as well, like seeing like them just do a whole fight.
Oh yeah, they kept the pace of Revenge of the Sith and not of a Clone Wars fight. Yeah,
yeah, like the pulling him to the table, like those kind of things are really cool, and the stuff that we didn't get to see in the movies, like I think it's really cool to see that stuff as well.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorite things about it.
Me too, man.
I've never watched like whatever their initial fight would have looked like. I don't know if that's available or out there somewhere to just like, here's the whole fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan, uncut, without any of the editing or any of that stuff.
You can see some of the deleted scene stuff. There's a lot of visual diary stuff. Nick Gillard has released some stuff. So I appreciate that they actually pieced some of those things back in there. And they added the Christophsis storyline
episode. Is that what it is?
Well, yeah, they're just episodes that we got animatics of, and that scene was one of them. But we never got it produced. But that was a fantastic scene and a really interesting choice to put it in front of this duel.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's placed more of like after Ahsoka's left, and they're talking about that, and he's like, you'll never do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I just thought that was interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
If we can get really technical for a little bit.
Oh, we haven't?
No.
Okay.
Not yet. We're about to get really technical. Think about when Hayden Christensen comes back to play Anakin Skywalker, and you see him fight, and you're like, oh my God, he looks so good. He like, I can feel Anakin. That's Anakin there, you know? And if you brought another actor to do the exact same choreography, it wouldn't feel the same.
Sure.
It just wouldn't. Like, I've personally choreographed for and shot and edited and did visual effects for, let's say, 10 individuals in my lifetime. They all fight, look, move differently.
Sure.
It's like a fingerprint. You cannot...
When we did Ferocity,
Yeah.
there is a person who's credited because they were working initially on doing the choreography and was going to be in the fight.
Yeah.
And then they didn't, and I took their spot.
You took their spot, and you used some of their choreography that they had done.
Yeah, and the fighting for it, like, it was a lot of it's very similar choreography or most of the same choreography.
Yeah.
But I I perform differently.
You do it differently
than they perform.
You have
So,
a
yeah, that's
signature
definitely a thing.
style. I mean, as does Ewan McGregor, especially these actors that have spent, before each of these movies, 4 to 5 months training, and you develop that style. That's why we talked about it a little bit in our top 10 video games video when I talked about the Revenge of the Sith video game, and Hayden Christensen came to the place where these guys were making the game, and he was just showing him all of his moves.
Yeah.
And those moves, they are Anakin moves. Despite never having seen him in any of the movies, he's doing Hayden Christensen moves. It's a fingerprint. And what Clone Wars doesn't have is fingerprints to their fighters. They have cool ideas. They have broad strokes. But I can't look at a move and say that's Asajj Ventress's move. I can look at a weapon. I can look at a gag. But in terms of the sloop of the shoulders, how far apart feet and knees are, where you turn your hips, the momentum, that's so integral to individual actors and performers that when I see it in the Clone Wars models, it looks weird. Does that make any sense? It doesn't look like I'm watching the Clone Wars. It looks like I'm watching Revenge of the Sith with a Clone Wars
skin.
Yeah. TikTok filter put
Filter.
over it, but the world's best filter that's ever existed. Because again, the production is off the charts, looks amazing. I'm only just trying to
Sure.
get out my immediate thoughts of that type of thing.
The only thing with any of that I was trying to tell if it looked weird was when he crossed his arms. His arm looked weird, and it looked like it flattened out.
Vader's.
Yeah.
I've always kind
I
of
thought it
felt that
looked
way.
weird.
Just because the Vader suit is very restricting. Usually it's a bodybuilder in a big clunky suit, and that's why he generally just keeps his hands down, or maybe he'll put them in his belt. But to do this when you have giant arms and a huge suit is hard to do. So you almost never see it happen in the original trilogy. But when they did Revenge of the Sith, Hayden Christensen was like, hey, can I wear the suit? So they made a suit that fit him. And the suit that fits him does not look the same as a suit that's going to fit Dave Prowse, So he actually can put that up there because the suit's not as bulky. And there was always a part of me when I would watch that, I'd be like, why does that look off? And over the years, I think I've always just been like, oh, okay, it's because his arms are so close to his chest, and that almost never happens with the bodybuilder.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
Okay.
there's little things like that kind of kept me from being super immersed.
Yeah.
But absolutely, I was super appreciative of everything I was seeing, especially the added in bits and trying to nail. Obviously, they were trying to nail Revenge of the Sith way more than they were trying to nail Clone Wars.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you need to. It's just
Yeah.
trying to get that. I wouldn't want that fight, but in an older Clone War style.
Yeah.
I want it to be like they're mocapping
Yeah.
Maul and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
They're mocapping Ewan and.
And here's the
Hayden,
thing, whenever we watched the Darth Maul Ahsoka or the Maul Ahsoka fight, we could see Ray Park.
Yeah.
You can see his moves.
Sure.
And what's not really talked about as much is the headache / all the work that was put into not making it look so different it doesn't belong on the show. Does that make sense? There's a lot of work to we had motion data of Ray Park doing that, but 70% of that animation is still keyframed. It's not motion capture. They just use it as reference.
Sure. Yeah.
Here I kind of felt like we got a lot more, obviously not motion capture, but motion matching,
Sure.
as opposed to trying to then bring in the flavor that makes Clone Wars, which is fine. I'm just weird about lightsaber fights. I've always have been.
Sure.
Yeah, but man, it just makes everything about that Revenge of the Sith scene just better. Just seeing it again in a new light, it kind of gives you a feeling of being able to erase your memory a little bit and watch it again for the first time because it is so foreign looking at it through these models and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, for sure. It was definitely cool. I think they did a really good job. I can see why it got a lot of views. It's also one of the, I think one of the best fights in Star Wars is that fight right there. I think it's
Yeah.
up there with Duel of the Fates for me, which I enjoy that one a lot
Yeah.
too. And that one, and this one I think has, there's more emotion to the fight itself.
There is.
than there
It's
is in
also
some of the
so
other ones.
long that it gives itself chances to show what it's not great at. That kicking scene on top of the table, I would 100% cut that out and leave in Obi-Wan's feet against the table being risen up. Like
Yeah.
that's
I thought that was great.
gold.
I would
But the kick sucked.
I would take the drop kick, but
Yeah.
not the clothesline kick. I always thought
Yeah.
Obi-Wan's kick was weird because it was like he was running to his saber, like not Obi-Wan, but Anakin's
Sure.
like running to his saber, and in his way, Obi-Wan just puts his foot up.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's always weird.
I mean,
But everything else I thought was really good.
yeah, I'm trying to I need to articulate why I don't like it. When I think of like the flow of the Force, like be one with the Force and let it flow through you, I don't think of like quick, disjointed movements like a drop kick.
Oh.
You know, I think of like a movement that flows in the next, that actually gets you. But that's just a preference. So I'm not saying it's bad.
Sure.
At all.
I just-
Any bad thing I say on this,
I
I'm
just
not
think
saying
a
it's
clothesline
bad.
kick doesn't work as well because, like,
Yeah.
for an arm, you can get that up so much faster than it's like, let me put my leg up here and
Yeah.
kick you with it.
Let me put
And
my
it was
leg in the
just-
danger zone.
It just always
Yeah.
felt weird. Like, I'm
Sure.
like, why doesn't he just, like, push that deck down or something? So, I don't
Yeah.
know. But no, I thought it was done really well, and it's not like,
Mm-hmm.
how dare you have them do kicks? That's what they did.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying, like one of my favorite things is seeing those in-between parts where it's like, well, I know it cut here. I did not see a table thing. That's really cool. You know,
Yeah.
I know it cut here, but this one's just them traveling or whatever. So,
I definitely, in the beginning of the fight, the opening couple of sets where, you know, obviously we're seeing the kind of mirror move crossover that Obi-Wan and Anakin do, like at the very beginning in front of the ship. And I feel like the beginning really impressed me because I feel like they were trying to go with a more Clone Wars style there. Like it wasn't matching perfectly with Revenge of the Sith. But then like as it went on, and probably, I mean, this thing took like 4 years for them to make.
oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm sure like at a certain point, it's just like, all right, I have 50 more shots to do. Let's get this going. And they just started match moving a lot more to what Revenge of the Sith really looked like, you know? But so there were definitely moments in there. I'm like, yeah, that part, I think you really nailed it there. And there's other parts where I'm like, I think you maybe went too far here, you know? But I think that's true of everything.
Yeah.
you know?
Sure.
I can do the same thing with the sequel trilogy. I can do the same thing with the prequels.
Yeah.
I can do the same thing with the original trilogy. And that's a fantastic thing that you did. What an achievement.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Now, here's the thing. I think this was cool. But you know what would be cooler? And I think that we should encourage people to go out and do this, / maybe we start doing it ourselves.
What?
Bring animated fights into live action. Don't bring a live action fight into an animation.
Make a.
Let's go do some of these crazy fights in live action. And do scenes like that.
Let's start with Obi-Wan versus Maul from Rebels.
Hell yeah.
It's a very easy one too.
It's easy, but I mean, that would be gorgeous.
It could look really cool.
That would be
But no,
perfectly filmed on a volume.
Dooku versus Asajj and the Night Sisters.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Or
because
Savage,
again,
Savage and Asajj versus Dooku. That'd be a fun one too. To see that in
dude,
live action.
Do Palpatine versus Savage and Maul.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Live
too.
action, you know?
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong. I mean, I love Clone Wars, but you cannot do the same thing in animation as you can in live action. I mean, he's an angry tornado in that fight. How do you do an angry tornado in live action?
Yeah.
You can do it, but it's going to take a lot of skill, a lot of creativity, and a lot of time. And, oh, man, I would just love to do that. Can you imagine if we just got paid to do that? Let's just do that.
No,
Pay us to do that.
Who's not? Who?
I don't know.
Who does
I don't know. To get a hold of somebody. Somebody can make that decision.
But no, that'd be cool. I like that. There's some cool fights in Rebels. There's some cool fights in Clone Wars. That I think that you start with those, and then we're gonna get more stuff coming. Do you do like cool like Bad Batch things? You know, like clones fighting.
Sure.
Like that. That could be fun too.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be fun. I mean, it's like a project on this scope where it's like, hey, let's take something that you like and put it into a new medium. I think I'd be more excited to, because I mean, that's probably the biggest critique I have of Star Wars animation is the lightsaber fights don't feel like lightsaber fights like I used to watch them when I was a kid. And you can say like, Eric, that's unattainable. You know, you can't go to a childhood fantasy. And it's like, no, we did it in a parking lot, in a cave.
No scraps. But no, yeah, you can do
Yeah.
it. It just depends what you want to do and how much effort you want to put into it. And
Yeah, exactly.
we spent a lot of late nights trying to get lightsaber fights.
And well, I mean, that's the
working,
thing
you know?
too. Like there is something to be said about fights that are choreographed by the performers and not choreographed by somebody else that then performers come in and do.
Sure.
Right? Because there's always going to be a slight awkwardness. Like your shin bone is going to be differently placed, so you would turn this way as opposed to this way. Like the curve of your back is slightly different, so you're not going to be doing it exactly like this. You might be coming in and ducking under it and stuff. So, I mean, I think that you can kind of see that with Hayden Christensen. He definitely trained, I think, longer than anybody else trained on the prequels. I mean, even though Ewan McGregor has a whole other movie ahead of him, I'm pretty sure I've read that Hayden Christensen went way harder with it in terms of like trying to get in there and even being part. Like, you can watch Nick Gillard's stuff and you never see Ewan McGregor on it, but Hayden Christensen is there during the rehearsals doing the previs because that was important to him, you know? And that's why his moves feel like his moves, and other times you see Ewan McGregor and he's doing that's not his move.
Well, there's the Anakin thing, right?
Yeah.
There's like he does the swirl behind the back and stuff, and
And
I always
Ewan
felt
McGregor's-
like
yeah.
Anakin's looked good,
Yeah.
and Ewan looked like he was kind of like maybe like he had to do it,
Yeah.
and it was because Anakin could do it. He had to copy what Anakin did,
Yeah.
and it wasn't necessarily one of his moves.
Yeah.
His always looked a little bit more, arm came out a little bit more than Anakin's just had a flow to it.
Yeah. No, there's I mean, I love the prequels, but I can tell when it's weak, and that scene, I don't think the idea is bad. The idea is that these two have trained their entire lives together. They can fight at such a ferocious speed that they can't even touch each other. They just know each other. It's muscle memory. They're doing this and at a million miles an hour, and they're perfectly in sync.
Mm-hmm.
But the shot choices, I feel like, distract versus show that. I would have maybe went in a little bit more, maybe covered the thirds over with like over a shoulder shot versus more of like a profile shot like we got, because that is not a Ewan McGregor incepting that move idea. That is someone being like, all right, we're going to do this thing, and then he goes into that role, and then it kind of looks awkward on him. You know?
Yeah, like it could have been Hayden being like, "Hey, look at this. Oh, that's really good. Let's put that in there."
Mhm.
When do we do that? It's like, well, Ewan would do the same thing.
Yeah.
He's like, "How do you do this?"
No, we kind of played around in Ferocity, one of our lightsaber fights, with that idea. It was a part where like we just had kind of like blades being twirled, like, you know, just kind of like at each other. But because we framed it so that they're crossing each other, it looks like you're fighting, but you're not. It's just blade twirling. And I'm adding in like the effects to make it look like it's fighting. And that, I feel like, gives you like, oh my God, they're going so fast. But it's an illusion. It's a magic trick. It's the movies, baby.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what scene you're talking about, and I'm like, you know what? I can't really tell. And if I say it, people might be able to tell.
You can't tell.
But if you, it's one of those things where it's like, you would have issues where it's like, oh, there's this, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'd watch it like, oh, I see it now, and now I can't not see it.
No, I mean,
but
that's
before
why,
you told me, I didn't know.
That's why I literally call it a magic trick. Like, once you learn the trick, it doesn't get you anymore. When Penn and Teller tell you like what they're doing, and then you watch the first part again, you're like, oh, okay, it's not special anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, you want to be tricked. Your brain wants to feel like it's real, even though we all know these are actors on a set filming, 5 seconds at a time.
Yeah.
And then we edit it all into this big, awesome 14-minute fight, and we just all accept that, So the magic has to be there, and I love things like that. But yeah, when to point them out, you do kind of ruin the magic.
Yep.
So you're welcome.
All right, well, guys, that's our thoughts on the Battle of Heroes, Clone Wars. Hello there.
Absolutely.
video.
Yeah. Great job, guys. If
Really
whoever's doing this is watching our reaction to it, like you did a hell of an achievement. It was so much fun, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about these incredibly nerdy niche things.
Yeah.
Right here
Yes.
at Wave Squadron.
Yeah. So if you're watching this here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, as far as podcast goes, we have a few more minutes. We can try to get into some of the questions and whatnot and super chats and all that kind of stuff that we have.
Yes.
So let me see what is around here, Gonk. Craig with a super chat said, hey, guys, what's up? How's your day going so far? I love your reactions to the Bad Batch. When are you doing the trailer reaction? We mentioned earlier today that we are not going to be doing the trailer reaction, and the show is here in like a month. And we will just let our reaction to whatever would have been in that trailer be in the show.
Yeah, I think that you could easily and understandably think like, oh, what a waste. You guys should check out the trailer. But it's not a waste. It's a sacrifice because it's going to make what comes later better.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So it's not that we won't see that. We're just going to see that in the show kind of thing, right? Like whatever it is that, if it's a 1-minute trailer, whatever things you guys saw in that trailer, we'll just see it when it pops up in the show, which can sometimes be better than what the trailer shows. I'm sure there's hype moments in trailers all the time. I love in Civil War whenever Spider-Man shows up.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't know that and you're watching that movie,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably a totally different reaction that you have.
What would
You
you
know?
rather love more, a commercial or the thing it's promoting?
What kind of commercial?
I mean, it's a cool commercial.
Like, there's some commercials I really like, and I
Yeah.
don't really care for what they are. Like, there's some really good Mentos commercials out there, but I don't do Mentos. Do I? All right. How about Oliver, who said, "Would you two be interested in playing SWTOR? It's changed a lot since launch, and a class system as well. I used to play it quite a bit, up until the first, second expansion, somewhere in there, and I haven't played it for a while.
Yeah, I played 3 character stories. Well, 2.5 character stories around launch, I would say. I mean, whenever we started kind of playing, it wasn't exactly on launch.
Yeah.
But,
I played on launch.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember when you joined in exactly,
Yeah.
but
But now I played 3, pretty much 3 character stories. Really, really enjoyed it. Never checked out any DLCs or anything. It just seems like, as much as I love it, like a big time commitment. And I'm going to be too busy making animation fights and live action.
oh, well, that's true.
Actually, really
MMOs do have a lot.
I actually really like that idea.
But I don't know if I ever played Star Wars. Like, when we played Fallen Order, it was fun because we were like playing it and then talking about all the things we saw and whatnot. And I remember my first time playing through, and it's like, oh man, Alderaan! I get to go to Alderaan. This is cool. But I don't know if I really like appreciated all the things like I did when I played Fallen Order.
Fully,
You know what I mean?
I mean, because you're in a state of surprise and discovery, you're not necessarily being thorough.
Yeah.
And I try to be thorough, but I know I'm missing stuff all the time. So definitely, we'll have to do a joint thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe even
Now-
just watching cutscenes.
Yeah,
and
going
certain
through some of the
things
main
would be
story stuff doesn't take nearly as long as what it used to.
No.
So you can get through if we did. There's the what is it? The Revan book by Carpesian. Is that his name?
Drew, yeah.
Is a really good book. One of the few Star Wars books I read before doing into this, and it pairs really well between like KOTOR and SWTOR and some of the character storylines that happen in the game too, which I thought was really cool.
There's also a great book called Deceived. That is a Malgus book, and it even has because I mean, I think I can probably speak for most people here. Whenever those cinematic CG trailers would drop for the Old Republic,
and the fights in those,
so good, dude. Return's probably the best.
Let's make those in live action.
We should just watch those and gush over them at some point on a Badonkagonk.
Yeah,
yeah.
There's some really good ones.
Yeah, but those are so good. Like I bet you I've watched those 90 times.
Return, is that the one with the smuggler and everything?
Yeah,
that's one of my favorites.
What about my ship?
Yeah,
the fastest ship in the sector. Yeah,
I like that one. That was a good one.
Dude, I love the ending of that one where it's like, oh man, yeah, Malgus takes out his master.
Yeah,
it's like Korriban. We have returned. It's so good. Oh man, I love it. I love it so much.
All right, well maybe in SWTOR at some point in the future. Who knows?
Yeah,
possible. But let's see. We have another one. What is this? A super chat from
Welcome,
Carl. It looks like. Let's see, Gonk. I'm missing part of that there. What did you think of the documentary Within a Minute on the ROTS DVD? The special features on the prequels were the best.
Best.
I don't think I've watched it.
The special. I haven't watched the documentary, but I know every Easter egg. Have you ever seen the Yoda dancing Easter egg?
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember. Gonk, look it up on YouTube. Yoda dancing Revenge of the Sith DVD. This was something that you could only open if you did a certain, like the Order 66 thing in Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
This is the only way you could see it until YouTube ruined everything by just giving it to people.
But it was on the Revenge of the Sith
Revenge
DVD?
of the Sith DVD.
He's dancing?
Yeah, man. Here it is. 1 minute 03. This is it. Give me the sound. Gonk. You never seen this?
Huh.
I mean, this is ILM.
This looks familiar.
Yeah. This is full ILM.
Maybe I saw this and didn't realize what it was.
You could only get this on the DVD version of Revenge of the Sith if you put in, I don't know, it's 1138 on a certain screen or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. Look at the cloth sim they had to do.
Yeah, right.
They put work into this.
And why? Just to do it, I guess, right?
Yeah. No, man. Between the prequel DVDs and the Lord of the Rings extended edition DVDs, Like, over and over and over. I watched that in my childhood.
Really?
Yep. I love the behind-the-scenes stuff. Yeah, dude, look at him. Look at the clones in the back.
So the looks a little familiar, but like I don't remember really watching it.
Yeah. That's Frank Oz. That's not like someone like, I'm going to do my Yoda voice. That's Yoda.
What do you say? Heart of my voice this is?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Interesting.
Anyway, that's it.
I mean,
How many people in chat knew that was a thing? Or maybe discovered it later in life. I know a lot of people discover it later in life. Like Aaron.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Is that Craig there? We did that one, right? Over on the super chats. I want to make sure I had all those done too. I thought I missed one. Is it the top one there? In the survivors. Okay, I guess that's all of them. I think we did all the super chats.
All right. Thank you guys for super chats.
Question wise for Twitch.
Yeah.
Mando Jedi, Eric, you mentioned that you have a hard time determining sound direction in Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
There is an accessibility option called Subtitle Directional Indicator that might help.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I don't know how that works. I've never used it.
Yeah, I'll have to see. Yeah. Aaron, before we end it too, I'm going to go up and grab something and show off. So, can you vent for like 30 seconds?
Vent?
Yep.
All right, I guess I can vent that he's just going to walk away and leave me here with nothing. I want to see what Captain Austin has to say. Not a question, but speaking of Nick Gillard, Star Wars Theory has managed to get him to choreograph his Vader Episode 2 and 3 fan films. Interesting. I believe we watched the first one of those, and I don't think I've seen any more since whatever we had reacted to and discussed with that one. But I didn't know he had Nick Gillard involved in that at all, so that's pretty cool. Really, really cool, honestly. I'd love to work with Nick Gillard on something. Fabuccino. I remember hearing you talk about consuming comics in a video format. What are your thoughts / plans about reading Star Wars comics? It has been a process that we were working on before, and then kind of got sidetracked on some other things that we were working on with different channels and whatnot. But hoping to have those things rolling out here soon, and probably starting with something, probably not like the beginning of like High Republic as our first one, but you'll probably see it as like a video on Wave Squadron, not a live stream. First off, trying out something like a mall arc might be fun. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Well, Eric is back with a big box, and I don't know why.
Okay.
But he's here.
What was the question?
Talking about comics in the video format and our thoughts / plans on reading Star Wars comics. I said that it was something we wanted to do before last year, and we just got sidetracked with a lot of other stuff, and hoping to get things rolling here soon on this channel.
Yep.
Probably not with like a beginning of an arc or beginning of a story, but maybe like an arc like a Darth Maul arc or something.
Son of Dathomir, yeah.
I didn't say that one out loud, but maybe that'd be a good
Well,
one.
what the Darth Maul one are you talking about?
Maybe there's other ones I don't know about.
There is. No, there probably. I don't know. I did hear there was like a new Darth Maul series announced that they're
Really?
going to do. Yeah. Yes.
All right, guys. See you later.
No.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to brag a tiny bit.
Okay.
In that, my wife and I, like, she enjoys Star Wars, and she's very tolerant about how much I enjoy Star Wars as well.
Sure.
We got married on Star Wars Day. So for Valentine's Day,
It's not here yet. That's next
What?
month.
I know.
Is this a clone trooper outfit? Did you get a clone trooper outfit?
No, I'm just saying, she plans.
Okay.
So for Valentine's Day, she was like, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know. We can figure something. She's like, I have an idea. We could put a Lego set together.
Oh.
I'm like, that sounds so cool.
Wait, that's a box of Lego?
So she got I've never bought Lego sets. I've always been like, no, I'll get too into it. They're too expensive.
Well, yeah, and then you got to put them somewhere, and you're going to need a whole room for that.
So I wanted to show you what our first Lego set's going to be, and I don't know if we can finish it on Valentine's Day.
She didn't choose like a big Death Star, did she? Well, that's not the Death Star.
She got us
The
big Millennium Falcon.
the ultimate collector series of Millennium Falcon. That's
Look
so
at this.
cool.
7,541 pieces.
Can you go inside it?
Yeah, you can open it up and you can see all the compartments.
That's so cool.
It's nuts.
Can I come over for Valentine's Day?
Yes. No, I had to ask permission.
Oh, dang.
I had to ask permission.
No, Gonk, you don't have thumbs.
Yeah, no thumbs. Oh, wait. No. He doesn't. He can't even turn your mic very much.
I'm sorry. I don't. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
to move my own mic.
So anyway, I just wanted to brag / use this opportunity to tell how much I love my wife.
You need to get a TIE Fighter one so like you can chase it.
Yeah. You know what's really funny? She also got a stand to put it on because it's once you're done, you're going to display.
Well, yeah,
it.
or hang it
the
on the
stand
ceiling.
is a Lego stand. That's like 200 pieces. You gotta put that together.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
All right. Well, dang.
Yeah, but at one point she showed me too because I was like, well, once you're done with it, where do you put it? But she showed this one person that put it in a coffee table.
In a coffee table,
Yeah,
like a glass coffee
inside
table?
a glass coffee table, and I'm like, that's so cool. I might have to do that.
That sounds
So
pretty
anyway,
neat.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
just wanted to share with all.
I was
the
wondering.
Star
I'm
Wars
like,
fans.
what's in that box? Like, you have like a clone outfit in there. That's what it is.
It's so heavy.
It looked huge.
Yeah.
That's really cool, though. Well, congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
toy.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's it for us for this Badonkagonk. We will be back on the 22nd after Eric has finished building his Falcon over there, and we'll get some information on how that went.
It might
That'll
not
be
look
after
like
Valentine's
much,
Day.
but she's got it where it counts, kid.
And we'll be reading the Catalyst book,
Yeah.
which is by
James Luceno.
James Luceno. So catch up on that book, read that one. We'll be talking about it all next time, February 22nd. So until next time, guys, may the Force be with you.
Always.